The hum of the starship's engines was a comforting constant, vibrating through the metallic walls of the hangar like a heartbeat. I had been assigned to the Aegis Vanguard for just over 6 months, a rookie engineer among seasoned soldiers and pilots. My days were usually spent recalibrating shields, adjusting thrusters, and ensuring that the ship's drones could perform with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel. Routine was my friend, until the day I met her, Captain Lyra Kael. The first time I saw Lyra was from across the hangar bay. Her armor gleamed under the dim artificial lights, a custom suit of cobalt and silver that seemed almost alive, its edges glowing faintly as though reacting to her pulse. She carried herself with a kind of controlled intensity that made even the veteran soldiers step aside. Her presence was magnetic, but intimidating. I, in my grease-stained overalls, felt like a shadow passing in her orbit. It wasn't long before fate, or perhaps misfortune, intervened. During a skirmish at the outer rim of the Epsilon sector, the Aegis Vanguard was ambushed by a fleet of pirate drones. They came like a storm of shards, laser pulses cutting through the void, tearing at our shields. Lyra's squadron took the brunt of the assault, and when the battle ended, her armor was battered, the servos in her limbs damaged, and the energy field over her helmet flickering like a dying star. I was tasked with the repairs. Alone in the maintenance bay, I stared at the wreckage of what had seemed an indestructible armor. The suit was like a puzzle of technology, centuries ahead of anything in standard military supply. I had read every schematic available, but seeing it in pieces was different, humbling, even terrifying. Lyra entered the bay without knocking. Her helmet was off, revealing her face for the first time. She had stormy gray eyes that seemed to pierce through the dim light, and a faint scar that ran from her temple down to her jawline. Her presence filled the room in a way that made me forget about the grease on my hands or the sparks that threatened to ignite from my tools. "I trust you can fix it?" she asked, her voice calm but edged with a cold determination. I will do my best," I stammered, suddenly aware that this was no ordinary repair job. I started with the servo joints, the mechanical tendons that allowed her armor to move fluidly. It was intricate work, each wire needing precise alignment, each hydraulic module calibrated to micrometer accuracy. As I worked, I felt her watching me, though she said nothing. The silence was heavy, almost suffocating. Then she spoke, softly. "You know," she said, her voice low, almost a whisper, "not everyone who wears armor can carry it like a shield. Some carry it like a cage." I froze mid-screw. A bolt clutched awkwardly in my hand. Those words weren't just casual banter. They were a warning, a confession, and something else I couldn't identify. My mind scrambled, searching for the context. How could someone like Lyra Kael feel trapped in her armor, the very thing designed to protect her? I'm not sure I understand," I admitted. Her gaze didn't waver. "Most people think this suit makes me invincible, but invincibility comes at a price. Every movement, every breath, it's calculated. I feel disconnected. Even here, with you fixing this, I'm always half outside myself." Her words struck me harder than any enemy laser ever could. I realized then that her strength was both literal and metaphorical. She carried more than armor. She carried the weight of command, of survival, of choices that had cost her everything else. The repair took hours. I replaced circuits, reprogrammed the stabilization matrices, and meticulously reattached the armor plating. All the while, Lyra said little, though sometimes she hummed a low tune, one that seemed impossibly human given the war she'd lived through. By the time the last panel clicked into place, the sun outside the hangar had risen, spilling pale light across the deck. I expected relief or gratitude. Instead, she leaned slightly closer, and her voice dropped even further. "There's something you should know," she whispered, almost shyly, though her eyes remained stormy. "Something about the armor, about me. Something I've never told anyone." My hand stilled over the final panel. My heart raced. What could she possibly say that would freeze me? She looked away for a moment, as if gathering courage. Then she turned back, her eyes locking onto mine with unyielding intensity. "I'm not entirely human." The words hit me like an ion cannon. I stumbled back slightly, struggling to process them. Not human? Everything about her, the way she breathed, the way she moved, the way she smiled, the way she fought, had felt completely real, completely organic. And yet, she said otherwise. I don't understand," I murmured, my voice barely audible. Lyra sighed, a sound that seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 battles. I was modified. Before I joined the Vanguard, I volunteered for a program, one that enhanced reflexes, strength, neural processing, but it also altered my perception of reality, my memories. Some of the things you see as emotion are engineered responses, and some are echoes of memories that never truly happened. I felt the ground beneath me tilt, though I was standing still. This was bigger than I could grasp. I had worked on the latest AI drones, repaired starship engines capable of transwarp jumps, but nothing in my experience prepared me for this. I need a moment," I said, stepping back and pressing my forehead against the cold steel wall. She didn't move. She let me have my moment, and when I looked back, she was standing there, calm as ever, yet the shimmer of vulnerability around her made her seem smaller, more human than she had ever appeared in battle. "I wanted you to know," she said finally, "because if we're going to survive the next engagement, I need someone who sees me as I really am. Not just as a weapon, not just as a shield." Her honesty struck a chord deep within me. I realized, painfully, that I had been afraid, not of her, but of what her truth might do to the fragile balance of trust one had in this universe. I understand," I said slowly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on my shoulders. "And I won't treat you any differently." She studied me, and for the first time, a faint smile touched her lips. "Good. You're braver than you realize."